We'll see if they move. I mean, you saw Bill.
They're going to move.
Well, look,
they're already moving.
Hold on, Bill Ackman.
No, they're not.
Hold on.
People say they're going to move all the time after elections.
Listen,
they don't do it.
Bill Ackman said he was going to move.
You know how many people moved out of New York City in the last 3 years? 600,000. They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving. They've been moving from COVID.
You know how many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know.
Under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
Apparently, a growing number of people are leaving blue states, and it's nothing short of astonishing. You'd expect these liberal strongholds to create policies that make life better for residents, but that doesn't seem to be happening. On a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the outspoken host offered his blunt take on why people are fleeing, and it's truly fascinating. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's dive in.
I think that Mamdani's election will lead more financial organizations to leave New York City for Wall Street South in Florida. Tell me, I've read that term just recently, Wall Street South, Florida. This is your state. What is that?
A lot of Wall Street guys have moved to Palm Beach. It's been happening really since COVID. It's accelerated with increases in taxes. It's not just out of New York. It's New Jersey, Connecticut, it's Chicago, it's California.
So they're fleeing high tax blue states for Florida.
Maher posed a pointed question. Why are so many businesses leaving blue states for Florida? And he didn't hesitate to answer it himself. High taxes. But that's just the surface. According to Maher, the economic pressures in these liberal states have become unbearable for companies trying to stay afloat. And it's not only businesses feeling the squeeze. Everyday residents are packing up too. Coming up, we'll show clips that break down exactly why this migration is happening, highlighting the additional factors driving people out of blue states. From restrictive regulations to soaring living costs, there's a deeper story behind this mass exodus, and it's one worth paying attention to.
My house, I live 8 miles outside of Queens, has gone up 20% in value since Mamdani announced. Okay?
Because
people aren't going to pay the punishing taxes. New York is the highest tax state in the union.
But you said your house value's gone up.
Yeah, because they're moving to Nassau County.
Oh, they're moving out of the city.
Out of the city, and they can still take the train back in the city and not pay the millionaire's tax or whatever crazy thing this guy wants.
O'Reilly breaks down why so many people are leaving New York, and it comes down to one thing: the dreaded millionaire tax. New York is home to a disproportionate share of America's wealthiest residents. Some of the nation's top-earning billionaires and millionaires live there, together contributing roughly 60% of the city's tax revenue. That makes the city's financial ecosystem incredibly dependent on them. Raising taxes, again, wasn't just controversial. It was seen as unbearable for the people already carrying most of the burden. Yet once the mayor won the election and signaled his determination to push the tax hike forward, the reaction was swift. High-income earners began leaving, moving both their wealth and their tax dollars out of the city. O'Reilly argues this exodus wasn't accidental. It was the predictable outcome of policies that punish the very people keeping New York afloat.
But what people don't understand is he can't raise the taxes unless the state okays it, and the state is not going to okay it. So this is just smoke and mirrors. And the younger people voted for him.
Sure, Mamdani would still need state approval before his proposed millionaire's tax could take effect. And given the current political climate, it's highly unlikely the state will sign off. That's where the real problem lies. This isn't just a legislative setback. It reflects directly on Mamdani's character and credibility. He campaigned aggressively on the promise that he would make the wealthy pay their fair share, positioning the millionaire's tax as a signature achievement voters could count on. But now, with the state showing little interest in backing his proposal, that promise is starting to look more like political theater than genuine policy. Supporters who believed he would deliver meaningful tax reform are beginning to question whether he overstated his influence or underestimated the system he vowed to change. Either way, the likelihood of this tax ever being implemented seems slim, and Mamdani's unfulfilled pledge now hangs awkwardly over his administration.
See if they move. I mean, you saw Bill.
They're going to move.
Well, look,
they're already moving.
Hold on, Bill Ackman.
No, they're not.
Hold on.
People say they're going to move all the time after elections.
Listen,
they don't do it.
Bill Ackman said he was going to move.
You know how many people moved out of New York City in the last 3 years? 600,000. They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving. They've been moving from COVID.
You know how many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know. No,
Under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
Guys, it's almost like Representative Jared refuses to see the obvious. People aren't leaving blue states because they suddenly feel adventurous. They're leaving because the economic policies have become unbearable. Take New York. Over 500,000 residents have packed up and moved elsewhere, driven out largely by relentless tax hikes and an environment that feels more punitive than supportive. Then there's California, the poster child for overregulation. Nearly 1 million people have fled, frustrated by an endless maze of bureaucracy and some of the highest taxes in the nation. Yet despite these stark numbers, Jared downplays the crisis, acting as if these mass departures are mere coincidences or temporary quirks. The truth is undeniable. People are voting with their feet, and the message is loud and clear. These policies simply aren't working.
How many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know.
Under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
No, but they're not moving because they want a better view. They like to keep more of their money that they earn.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, Florida is a really good case study. So when DeSantis became governor, there were 250,000 more registered Democrats in Florida when he became governor 8 years ago. Now there's 1.4 million more registered Republicans in Florida. That's all migration from COVID and re-registration from COVID, 100%. Right. So it absolutely is happening. Whether they will abandon New York in droves, I mean, Bill Ackman's a really good example. He said he was going to leave, right? He's been going after Mamdani. He spent a lot of money on him. And then the day Mamdani won, he said, I'm willing to talk and sit down and work with you. That doesn't sound like he's packing his bags.
Well, it's not everybody, but look, if you're a person in New York City earning $150,000, okay, that's a lot of money for most people in the United States. That's nothing in New York City. $150K doesn't get you very much. Right. It gets you In-N-Out Burger.
You can practically watch the Democratic politician clutching at straws in real time. Instead of facing the hard truth that people are leaving blue states because daily life has become increasingly unbearable, he tries to spin it by comparing the exodus to Florida. But that argument collapses instantly. If this were just a pandemic-driven shuffle, migration wouldn't be so one-sided. So here's the real question. If this is all natural post-COVID adjustment, why are people almost exclusively moving from blue states to red states? Why aren't Floridians, Texans, or Tennesseans flocking to New York or California? The answer is obvious to everyone except those determined not to see it. Residents are choosing red states for lower taxes, fewer regulations, safer neighborhoods, and a more sustainable cost of living. The evidence speaks for itself.
The working people at a certain level are going to say, I'm going to the congressman's state because there's no state tax there. There's no local tax there. I get to keep more of my money. This isn't complicated.
Well, I I've looked at moving because I'd like to keep more of my money too. And
where should Maher move?
I'm not moving anywhere. I'm not moving anywhere.
No. Not even stay?
And the taxes here are ridiculous, but it's still Southern California.
Right.
Okay.
Mom may choose to stay in California out of nostalgia, those deep emotional roots, the memories, the attachment to a place he's called home for decades. But for many others, sentiment isn't enough to outweigh the harsh realities of living there. Thousands have packed up and left because the state's notoriously high taxes no longer match the quality of life they're supposed to fund. Californians pay some of the highest tax rates in the nation, yet the state's basic problems remain unresolved. You'd expect that with all that revenue, California would have better managed its perennial wildfire crises, improved infrastructure, or made meaningful progress on homelessness. But none of that has happened. Instead, residents watch their hard-earned money vanish into a system that seems unable or unwilling to deliver results. For many, the disconnect is just too great, and leaving becomes the only logical choice.
I see today the Trump administration, they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compute.
Well, I don't. But what is the job of a teacher?
This might not be the main reason people are leaving California, but it's certainly one that frustrates many residents. Policies and rhetoric that label teachers as snitches for informing parents about their own children's decision to transition simply don't make sense to a lot of people. These are parents, the very individuals legally and morally responsible for their children's well-being. Suggesting they be kept in the dark about something as significant and life-altering as a gender transition feels not only illogical, but deeply unsettling. For many families, this debate isn't about politics. It's about the basic right to know what's happening with their children. When the state appears to prioritize secrecy over transparency, it fosters an atmosphere of distrust. While this may not be the top reason driving people out of California, it's undeniably one of the cultural flashpoints pushing residents to question whether the state still aligns with their values.
But I was on.
I appreciate that.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, "Who do you want to run for president?" I mentioned, "I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know." No, I know. But he said, "I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state." I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that? If you could win look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
Many people are growing increasingly disillusioned with Gavin Newsom because of the direction he's taken California. Critics argue that if this is how he manages a single state, one with enormous resources and global influence, then elevating him to the presidency would be a risky gamble. As a result, a significant number of voters say they're unwilling to support him as the Democratic Party's presidential nominee. They feel his track record simply doesn't inspire confidence. Beyond complaints about his embrace of progressive policies, there's a deeper concern. Many believe Newsom lacks the competence and disciplined leadership needed to handle the nation's complex challenges. From spiraling homelessness to rising costs and ongoing governance controversies, his critics see a pattern of mismanagement rather than meaningful solutions. For these disillusioned voters, the prospect of him running the entire country raises more red flags than optimism, which is why they're actively looking elsewhere for leadership. Ultimately, the mass exodus from blue states like California and New York tells a story that cannot be ignored. High taxes, excessive regulations, and policies that feel out of touch with everyday realities are pushing residents and businesses to seek more stable, affordable, and manageable environments, most often in red states. Politicians who try to downplay or spin these trends risk appearing disconnected from the lived experiences of their constituents. Whether it's economic strain, cultural clashes, or frustrations with governance, people are voting with their feet, and the numbers speak volumes. For policymakers and political observers alike, this should serve as a wake-up call. Ignoring these issues has consequences. States that fail to balance ambition with practicality risk losing the very residents who sustain them. Voters are increasingly seeking leadership that aligns with both their values and their day-to-day realities. Migration patterns are a mirror reflecting policy successes and failures, loud and clear. And with that, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.